today I'm doing a little tutorial on how to make some leggings for your doll from a pair of gloves or from a single glove. So I got these gloves from Primark, which is a local discount store, and I paid £1 for the gloves, and for that I got 2 pairs of gloves, so it actually works out at 25p per garment. So you will need your doll, your glove, a needle and thread and some scissors. And what we're going to do is get your glove, and you need to measure it against your doll. So lay your doll on your glove like this, and you can see how it's going to work. These 2 fingers here are going to be the legs of the glove. This bit's going to be cut out, and these bits are going to be cut off as well. And we're going to sew a V shape up here to form the inside of the legs. We're going to sew down the edge here to cut off the thumb, and down the edge here to cut off the finger. And then this elasticated bit at the top will form the waistband of the doll's leggings. And we need to sew right up to the waistband for this doll, because you can see that if we sew right up to the waistband here, I've actually already sewn this glove, and I'm going to do it onto a black glove so that you can see where I've sewn. So I've sewn up here, I've sewn a V in the middle, and I've sewn this bit here. I'm going to do it onto a black glove so you can actually see the sewing. I'm going to sew red onto black, so I'll do that and then I'll show you again. Make sure you turn your glove inside out, because you want to have the stitching and the seams on the inside and not the outside. Turn all your fingers through. So I've got my glove inside out, and I'm going to sew this thumb here. I'm going to sew that off, and I'm going to sew a little bit of the waist, because the waistband otherwise would be too big for my doll. So I'm going to sew all the way up here, and on the other side where the little finger is, I'm going to sew a straight line all the way up to make the waistband smaller and to sew off that finger. And then in the middle here, I'm going to sew a V from here all the way up to this bottom of the elastic, and then back down again to the other side of the elastic, sewing off this middle finger. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll come back and show you. Here we are. So this is the sewing red onto black, so you can see where I've sewn. So the first thing I did was sew along this side here to sew off the little finger, and I went all the way to the top, making the ribbing at the top a bit narrower because it's a little bit too wide to go around my doll's waist. Then I sewed off the thumb on the other side, again, all the way to the top. Start in between the thumb and the finger and go all the way to the top. And then a V in the middle, starting in between the middle finger and the next finger along, go all the way up to the ribbing and then down again the other side, forming a V. And when you've done that, we're going to cut out the extra bits that we don't need. So get your scissors, cut off your thumb part. Then we're going to cut out this V in the middle to form the legs. And then we cut off this side. Cut off the little finger. And so there, for 25p, you've got a pair of doll leggings. So let's turn them the right way out and try them on our doll. Okay, so we've got them on her. Next thing we need to do is to cut just below her foot on each side here. Just snip that off. Don't cut her foot, just cut that'll leave you some space to turn it up. You need to turn it over, otherwise it'll fray. So pop the ends off, and then we can turn that over like so, and just stitch around there to hold that in position and stop it from fraying. And do it in a colour that matches so that it doesn't show. So let's get that done. On a tutorial on how to make a jumper out of a glove. So you could use a pattern glove for that if you wanted, or just a plain one. And if you used different fabric gloves, like if you use chenille gloves, you could make pyjamas. If you did a jumper and trousers out of chenille, it would make nice fluffy pyjamas, wouldn't it? If you want to do one for your Moxie teens, you need to use bigger gloves. So you could use women's gloves, or maybe even men's, as long as you get plain ones. Well, it doesn't really matter if you get plain or not, but yeah, the fingers are longer, therefore they'll be long enough to fit your Moxie teen if you use bigger gloves. For smaller dolls like Bratz, you might want to use children's gloves. So same on the other side, just turn it in, make sure that both sides are the same length, and just stitch it round to hold it in position. Just a few little stitches in there, just to hold it in position and to stop it from fraying. I think if you've got leather gloves, I mean leather gloves are expensive, but sometimes you can find them an inexpensive pair. Say if you got some from a charity shop or something, or if you got the pleather ones, they would make good leather shorts, wouldn't they? You could cut them short enough to make them into leather shorts or pleather shorts. Just a thought. Or leather trousers for your Ken, or yeah. The possibilities are endless, because they do make gloves in all sorts of different materials these days, don't they? Lace ones you could make tights with, couldn't you? And I'm going to cut off some of the bulk of this ribbing, because it's the bit between here and here is too long, and this is too bulky around her waist. So I'm going to cut off about this much of the top, about half, and that'll leave her just with a thicker waistband. And all we need to do then is just get our needle and thread. You can either zigzag around there on your sewing machine, or just over stitch round with your needle and thread. Just over stitch to stop that from fraying. If you do it on your machine, make sure you stretch as you sew, otherwise these stitches will come undone and you'll have to redo it. So you'll find that on different size dolls, you know, you may or may not need to do this. If this was for a Moxie teen, you'd probably have to sew the V up a little bit higher, and you wouldn't have to do this. But because it went up quite a long way and was quite bulky on my Moxie girl, I'm just doing this to stop it from fraying and to take out some of the bulk. So there we are. Turn them back the right side out and try them back on again. They should fit her fine now. If you're going to make them into pyjamas, you don't have to cut the bottoms off. You could keep the bottoms on and have feet in the pyjamas. So let's see. There we are, perfect. So she can have her shoes on, and she's got her nice 25p leggings. So just to recap for the trousers, these are already sewn. I'm going to cut off the thumb part here, all the way up to the top. I'm going to cut off the little finger on the other side, all the way up to the top where I've sewn it. I'm going to cut out the V in the middle. I'm going to be trying these on DJ. So DJ is a curvy fashionista. She's my lovely doll that Dale gave me for my birthday. I absolutely love her. She's a custom doll that Dale did. Beautiful. So let's try these on the curvy fashionista. Here's one of the jumpers that I made. There are tutorials for these in my tutorial playlist, so if anybody wants to make a jumper to match their leggings, you can go and have a look. Make sure you try them on before you alter the waistband or the feet, because you'll find they fit different dolls differently. This is a curvy fashionista. DJ's a curvy fashionista, and we've had them on a Moxie girl. For Bratz, they'd want to be smaller still, maybe even a little bit smaller than the Moxie girl ones. But you can see. Let's take DJ's jumper off a minute. She's got fluff from her coat all over, hasn't you, DJ? There you are, chick. Take your jumper off. She is now Superwoman, aren't you? So here we are. You can see that they fit DJ perfectly. She doesn't need any alteration at the waist at all. They're just the right size for her. Yeah, they fit DJ a treat. All I need to do is just trim the end off the feet and turn them over. So I'll do that now. So I'm just going to cut the smallest bit off the end that I can. Like that, and then I'm just going to turn them over and just stitch them into position and stop them from fraying. So next we're going to move on to how to make this beanie. This beanie was made without any alteration to the cuff of the glove. If you want your beanie to fit a Barbie doll, you will have to make an alteration to the cuff of your glove. So we'll start with the red one. I'll show you how to do that. The first thing you need to do is unpick your cuff part here, the cuff of the glove. So you can see where it's sewn to the glove just here. It's sewn with red thread in this case. Just unpick the thread and it'll come undone. And that means you can adjust the rim of your hat easier if you want to. There we are. So basically all I've done is just unpicked the hem of that so that it opens out. The next thing we need to do is sew off the thumb. So we just need to sew a line from where the thumb joins the hand part of the glove down to the edge of the ribbing. I've done it on this glove here so that you can see. I've done it in red, so I've just sewn a line straight down here. Now the next thing we need to do is cut off the thumb part like this, and then cut off the fingers, just cut straight across. This is to make a beanie that's the size for the Moxie girl. Then the next thing we need to do is to gather stitch this edge here where we've cut the fingers off. You just need to do a running stitch all the way around to gather it up. So just in, out, all the way around. Just one stitch, don't go back at all, otherwise it won't gather. Make sure you've got your knot in the end, otherwise it'll pull through. So just in, out, all the way around. This will stop it from fraying and it'll gather the top to make it into a beanie for her. When you get back to the beginning, pull both pieces of thread as tight as you can and either stitch or tie them together to gather that top up there. So I'm going to just tie a couple of knots there to hold that together. Snip off your cotton, turn your hat the right way out. This is where we've gathered it on the inside. It looks like a little bun, doesn't it? The top of a bun there. And if you wanted to, you could sew a bobble onto there, you could glue one on, you could decorate the edges of your beanie with buttons or nothing at all. It's entirely up to you. So, like I say, on DJ, it's going to be too big. Miles too big. She looks like one of the Diddy men. But it will fit Moxie teens, Moxie girls and Bratz dolls nicely. So, and you can see it's one of those loose hanging down beanie hats. If you don't want it to be a loose hanging down beanie hat, do your gathering further nearer to the ribbing. If you gather this at the top of the ribbing, it would just be a little fitted hat for her, can you see? But I'm going to have one of these loose ones that hangs down at the back. That's nice. She could put her hair in there if she wanted to, couldn't she? So then to make one for DJ, she actually only needs about 2/3 of that, and it needs to stretch. So if I sew, I'm going to gather around here, so I'm not going to use this part of the glove at all, just this bottom bit, and I'm going to cut it off just where the cuff is here. I'm going to stitch down here about 1/3 of the fabric. I'm going to stitch off. So let's get my needle and thread. So about 1/3 of the way, I'm going to just stitch a line up there because it's too, otherwise it'll be too wide for DJ. So I'm going to cut off the extra fabric at the side here and then just gather around the top where I want the top of the hat to be. So this is the top, and I'm just going to go in, out, all the way around. Don't go back at all, just go in and out. When you get back to your beginning, pull it tight, and you can either tie it or stitch it into position just to hold it. So that it doesn't fray or come undone. So then turn it through, turn it your rim under, and there's your little hat for DJ. So let's try it on her. I actually ought to have done it in a different colour, didn't I? Because now she's got a hat that is the same colour as her leggings, but that's okay. There we are, you see. It actually fits her perfectly. That was just using the turned down cuff part for DJ and cutting off about 1/3 of it. So that's worked really well for her. She looks really nice. I'm pleased with that. So there's DJ in her spring outfit. And then we have the Moxie Teen in her. Like I say, if you want to make the hat smaller, all you need to do is gather around the top of this elastic on the inside, and it will be fitted like DJ's hat. But if, like me, you want it to be like this, the longer you want your hat to be, or the shorter you want it to be, the nearer to the rib you need to sew it. So this is the hat that I made before. As you can see, I didn't leave such a gap between the ribbing and the stitching, so that's made her hat smaller. But if you leave a bigger gap, it makes the hat longer. So choose, when you're at this stage, choose how long you want your hat to be. If you want it to be fitted, you need to gather around the top of the ribbing. If you want it a little bit loose, do it a little bit further up. If you want it nice and baggy, do it as far up as you can. So there's the Moxie Teen, the Moxie Girl's hat, and it's a loose one that flops down the back. or we've got the fitted one. Just here with just a little bit of a floppy bit at the back. And then for DJ, she's got a proper little fitted beanie hat there. So that was my little tutorial. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.